This is Tomorrowpictures.TV.
And then we will get moving into the man, the myth, the legend. Make sure our video is ready to rock.
We're going to need a long intro for Frederick.
A long intro for Frederick. Okay, so I'm going to give an amazing intro for Frederick as we get moving. Is there any bacon left, first off? There better be bacon left. Taylor, grab some bacon for me. Oh, nope, there she is. She went to prep. So Frederick, who does not know who Frederick Taylor is? Who has actually met and had a good conversation with Frederick? Oh yeah. Frederick's the best. Already getting the cat calls from the ladies in the room. Love it. So Frederick is somebody that came into my world several years ago and is truly an amazing human in a way that you don't see too often in the space that I spend a lot of my time in, the business space, right? And what he's done over the last few years is create something for himself that gives back and highlights underprivileged demographics. One of the projects he worked on where we bonded is a few years ago he did some work with the VA and did a documentary. He's a documentary film producer. And he did some work with the VA highlighting veterans in different capacities. He highlights other several different demographics. I don't know that he necessarily has one specific demographic he hits, and he just wants to highlight underprivileged communities as a whole. He has since won one Emmy, and he's up for his second, which is, I think, a guarantee at this point. Oh yeah, he's smiling. He's like, oh yeah, second Emmy's gonna happen, and we're gonna get 3. So he travels the world going to these film festivals, highlighting all these amazing documentaries he makes. And the beautiful thing about Frederick, he's also on the board of the Buckhead Club. So if you're familiar with the Buckhead Club, we host a lot of events. He's up there and he gives his time there to support everything we're doing up there. He shows up to every freaking event I could ever ask him to. And for a soon-to-be twice Emmy Award winner that travels the world at film festivals, that's a lot of time that he's dedicating to be here and support us, right? It's really hard for me to say this much nice stuff about Frederick. Besides, I love the dude. He's awesome. So he's obviously going to be up here talking about a couple different things. Because of how brilliant he is, he couldn't just do a slideshow. Pretty sure he has video supporting, which is what we're working through right now, is the video tech support attached to. If he's a filmographer, producer, all that stuff, of course he's got to integrate video into his presentation. The rest of us are way simpler than that, and I just like click the button.
We're good to go.
We're good to go. All right, so if I could get a rousing standing ovation applause for for Taylor, Mr. Frederick Taylor. It's like 007. Let's give him a round of applause. Let's get him on stage, y'all.
So, what you're listening to is a song. Keep playing. Can you play it and I can talk over a little bit, maybe? It's called The Maple Leaf Rag. It was written and composed in 1893 by Scott Joplin. You may be more familiar with some of Scott Joplin's work, such as The Entertainer. Well, Scott Joplin was our first pop artist in America. He appeared in the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, and one of the journalists that was covering the fair said, Scott Joplin is ushering us into a new era in the next century of popular music that is inclusive of diverse communities. Now, we fast forward 100 years later, we're in Atlanta, and it's 1993, and we are sort of in the midst of the same thing. We had the rise of Atlanta music, which has ushered in a pop cultural universe in the 21st century as well. So, some of the things I want you to keep in mind here is that we do make and have impacts on the world. Sometimes it's within our lifetime, and sometimes it is affecting others that are going to be here after we're gone as well. So those are some of the things that we're going to discuss today. And I'm going to show you something. I have a lot of video. So I wanted this to be sort of a very interactive experience as well. So I'm going to talk about things, I'm going to show you videos and things like that, and you'll see things literally from all over the world as well. We're getting there.
Come on, leaking oil?
Hey, brother. Something I've been meaning to talk with you about. We've been through a lot together in the service, and I feel I owe it to you. So I hope you don't get upset at me bringing it up.
What is this about?
We both know that you're in a bad place right now. And maybe until you're feeling better, we need to do more to make sure that you're okay, just in case you end up having another bad night like you did last week.
What are you talking about? I can't believe how big they're getting.
I know, and it's so nice having Paul back home. I know the kids really missed him.
Life is good.
Yes.
Let's do something about that gun until you're feeling better.
Okay.
Man, listen. I'm like you. Always had guns, always will. I love to shoot. I want to protect my house and my family, so I get it.
What do you mean?
Maybe we need to focus on keeping you safe for a while.
Yes! What are you talking about?
Sarah's teacher said she's the head of her class, so I think we're going to send her to camp this summer. We just want her to get a head start for the fall.
Something's going on. I gotta see what's happening.
Let's store the guns somewhere else for a while.
Come on, kid, let's go.
Lock it up. I can hold the key until you feel you're ready for it. Whatever works for you, man. We've always had each other's back, and I'm still here for you.
Okay, we'll talk more about this later. Figure this out!
Are we the sum of our choices? So I had to make a really tough decision here. Was I going to come out here and I was going to talk about making money, power, influence, networking, and I decided not to. I decided to talk about being a human being and what that means, and that deeds are the only currency. The only thing that matters is what you can do for someone else, what you can put back into the universe. In this particular case, in this scenario, this is a film for the VA that I made, I wrote, I directed, and thought up as well. How to create a scenario that shows when someone is suffering and the subtleties of someone that's suffering, and someone being a friend to someone else as well, and a community being able to rally around this particular individual. So, mostly deeds that you do for others are what leads to your success. And that is pretty much where I'm going to focus. So, I had to learn that, like anybody. So, at first when I got into this business, I wanted to be rich, I wanted to be famous, I wanted to live in Hollywood, and I moved to Hollywood. And I hung out and rubbed shoulders with the likes of Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Outkast, Warren G, you know, people that mattered. So I thought, because they were important. So I thought. They made money, and that's why everybody was interested in them as well. So what happened to me was I became very poor when I was living in Hollywood. This is what my life was like living in Hollywood. As we know, $3,000 in Georgia, Jasper County, Duluth, Smyrna, Alpharetta, that'll get you a nice place. Might be able to rent a house, front and backyard, driveway, all kinds of stuff. In LA, this is what living in LA will get you. Hey, Mom. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. Yeah, I know Grandma said that I look a little thin. Well, you know, I was 185 in high school. Yeah, I'm 165 now. I know, I'm skinny, I get it. But, you know, it's going to be okay. I'll be fine, you know? And I was wondering what we're going to be doing for Thanksgiving this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to come back as well. Hold on, Mom. There's somebody at the door. Can I help you? Yeah, I'm here from the Church of Scientology, and I'd like to... Mom, listen, I'm going to have to go, but I'll talk to you later, okay? I love you. All right, bye. I lived in a really small place. That was my life. Next video. All about Hollywood.
If I could ask Jesse Jackson any question, it would be if he thought I was pretty.
Wow. Pretty, like is your hair better looking than it was the other day. Pretty things come in good packages, but sometimes when you get the package, it's not as pretty as you thought it would be. Pretty in one sense, when you say that was pretty good, or it could have been pretty bad. In the way it go, pretty is pretty in the way you look at it. I think that America is pretty. Because when you look at the apple from the bottom and you look at it from the top, sometimes it looks a certain way, pretty. But when you look at it another way and you see maybe a worm at the bottom, and that may not be so pretty, but to somebody else, it may be pretty. So pretty and pretty means pretty to somebody that's pretty, and to the person that's receiving the pretty. So it's all pretty, all good, pretty.
You are watching The Reggie Red Show. Hey, Reggie.
So we were trying to produce a show called The Reggie Red Show in Los Angeles. That is a young, unknown Amy Schumer as well. She was hysterical. As we all know, she went on to Amy Schumerdom as well. My unique sense of humor didn't land too well with people. They didn't get it. Amy got it, thought it was funny. But you got to impress the suits to be able to move forward. I found that to be extraordinarily frustrating. So I started to think about I didn't want to be in LA anymore and I wanted out. So what happened was I had a friend in DC who was a political handler. And he said, you know something, you should move or come to Washington because as the mythology goes, dumb, pretty people go to LA, ugly, smart people go to DC. And so he said, you should come to DC. You're too smart to be in LA. I thought he was telling me that I was ugly. So I move on. I go to DC. I start to meet people, and I don't work the room. I'm just myself. Now I'm in a room where I'm the only filmmaker, and I have all of these politicos who are interested in doing videos because in our Congress, in our Senate, none of them read. They only watch videos. So if you want to push public policy through, you got to show a video. So they liked me. I served an opportunity for them. And video number 3, please.
Sau cele mai mari probleme cu care v-ați confruntat în tot timpul ăsta?
Răutatea oamenilor.
Nu știu, nu mai țin minte exact cum am reacționat, dar în sfârșit gândesc să stau cu gândul că, vai, Doamne, sunt bolnav și ce se întâmplă mâine nu mor sau nu.
Îți spus că nu m-a apucat nici crizele să arunc, să spar cum au făcut alți copii din familie și vorba aia, mama lor naturală.
Ca o completare a celor spuse anterior, avem vârsta de 4, 5, 6 ani.
When the spirit of revolution swept across Eastern Europe in 1989, the final, most violent uprising came in Romania.
Romania faced what is called an epidemiological accident.
Pe noi, pe când ne-a aruncat când a auzit de așa ceva, ne-a lăsat în spital.
Decades of crushing poverty and a government policy that outlawed birth control had led to a system where desperate parents who could not care for their oversized families were encouraged to leave their children with state hospitals and orphanages.
Era faptul că vedeam tot timpul copii murind, era vorba de o boală nouă de care nu știam mare lucru și de care ne era foarte frică, era bau-baul lumii, nu a Europei, a lumii întregi. Erau copii care mureau atât de frecvent pe care te ducea pur și simplu la depresie.
How to say, neputință. I felt like I couldn't do, helpless, that's the word, helpless in helping them.
And we felt that no matter how much we are caring about them, they still will die.
Acasă și stau și mă rog și citesc Sfânta Scriptură și consider că m-am mântuit. Și mântuirea o găsești tocmai prin ceilalți, în măsura în care te dăruiești celorlalți.
Tomorrow Pictures presents the little-known history of an heroic battle against the great challenge of our generation, the big disease with a little name.
You don't know what a man can do unless you test his margins, and I think they were overstretched from this point of view. They were tested by the end and over the end of the human limits.
After the fall, HIV grows up.
Have with someone in Eastern Europe, everything. I'm a human being, they're a human being, and I can do something to help them as well. These individuals were children at the time of communism falling apart in the early 1990s. As communism fell apart, all of the governmental systems that were in place fell apart as well, one of them being healthcare, and they had an epidemic of bad blood that was spreading through the hospital system to the point where they couldn't even get needles, they were reusing needles, all kinds of stuff. So they started having a lot of kids with HIV and a lot of mothers who were giving birth to children with HIV. Now, because in Eastern Europe a lot of information is cut off, to them HIV is really bad. So parents were leaving their kids at the hospital, abandoning them. And these kids had to go into orphanages and into foster care. This film is about these kids coming of age as they move from their teenage years into their 20s, still ostracized in their community as well, and trying to figure out how to live their life as human beings and people. Many of these individuals, some of them have passed due to HIV. Many of them are still my friends. I communicate with them all the time. Romania sits adjacent to the Ukraine. It is their neighbor. So needless to say, I think about these individuals every day. I start to change as a person. one of the people that worked on this was a music artist. She just so happened to be a member of the Buckhead Club. She said to me, hey, I want to take you to this place. I think you might find some of these people interesting. So she takes me to the Buckhead Club. There I am, I'm hanging out, and I don't know anybody. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to interact with these people. And she says to me, just be yourself. So that's what I did. I just started talking about what I do, how I feel about things, and who I am. But the most important thing that I did was listen to what other people were saying as well. I paid attention. And from there, started to sort of make my way through the Buckhead Club, sort of made a name for myself as well, to the point now I meet people at the Buckhead Club all the time. People are introduced to me through other people at the Buckhead Club. That is how I ended up doing the job for the VA as well. I met veterans at the Buckhead Club. We communicated, we shared our stories, and they said, hey, you're the kind of guy we want to work with as well. And that created the business. I wasn't walking into these environments immediately looking for it, who's the most important person in the room kind of thing. Just being myself. So, after Romania, I moved on to India. And you'll notice I start to lose it a little bit. I change as a person as well. This is Tomorrowpictures.TV. Once again, we are standing on the beaches of Mumbai, aka Bombay. And one of the things you really want to be able to remember is that there's the possibility that India may just be the new America for the new millennium. Think about it. Every type of person is represented here in India. In the past 20 years, India has launched over 43 satellites. India is becoming a technological juggernaut. India is constantly building and changing daily, rapidly. India has an eclectic community that is surrounded by another superpower. That would be China as well, and all of the natural resources of Southeast Asia, and you can throw a rock and hit Africa. So, India is an extremely important place, and India is really important as far as their opinions, their perceptions, and who they are as a people, and they are a true reflection of the color spectrum. This is Frederick again for Tomorrowpictures.TV, and I am talking to Kajal, and Kajal is here on the beach. Kajal is working today. So, Kajal, what do you do?
क्या?
What do you do?
Me henna.
You do henna. So you are a henna tattoo artist.
Yeah, henna tattoo me selling. You put there's a tattoo. This is copy on you all me putting henna. Henna business. Henna bag. They are my selling. Me here all every time coming say henna business. It's in tattoos. So all you make a tattoo design.
Now, how long have you been doing henna tattoos?
Huh? 2 साल. 2 months. 2 years.
2 years? Yeah. So you are a professional, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
You're good, right?
Yeah.
The best. That's Kaja. Kaja's homeless. Kaja lives on the streets. Kaja, to be able to allow herself to eat, has to sell henna tattoos. Kaja and her friends used to wait for me every day outside of the JW Marriott that I was staying at. And they all followed me around every day while I filmed and while I shot. And then what they would do was hustle henna tattoos to people. Because people would see me, they'd see my camera, they'd see crowd, people would hang around, and then they would come up to people and start selling henna tattoos. And they made a killing, and then they got me to pay for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. It was amazing, it was awesome. Kaja became my friend. Kaja and I had a tearful parting of the ways when I had to go. And I so desperately wanted to be able to promise her that I could come back. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that things are bigger than myself. And that there are other people out in the world that are in need. And that meant something to that kid. Because that kid's homeless. Because that kid got kicked out of her house because she is female. Because sometimes people think that women don't matter. And that is a part of my journey as well as a filmmaker. From India, we move on to Africa.
In Mkuru kwa Jenga, it is an informal settlement where we have more than 100,000 people living in this part of village. And this is the way. Ahead of us, we can see that there are a bit of some informal construction. Those are the toilets. Generally, people in Mkuru, they are living out of this small kind of business. They don't have a proper job, and this is the kind of activities that they are engaging themselves in, at least to see if they are going to earn their living at the end of the day.
That gentleman's name is Moses. Any of you that are Facebook friends with me, he is a Facebook friend of mine as well. I met Moses when he was 21 years old. He lives in a place called Mkuru Kujenga, which is about 10 miles outside of Nairobi. The people that live in this particular shanty town or village, they live for every 2¼ cubic square miles, there are 100,000 people. No septic, no water, minimal food. The average life expectancy is 42 years old. Based on the math, my friend Moses will be dead in the next 10 years. Again, you start to see there's a world outside that's bigger than yourself. By the time I was walking out of Africa, I was literally stripping butt naked at the airport, giving my shirt, literally physically the shirt off my back, my pants, my boots, everything, just giving it away. You know why? I can get more. And you know why? It doesn't matter. Next video.
Many developing communities in sub-Saharan Africa battle poverty and disease on a daily basis. Walking is often the only form of transportation available in these communities. This lack of transportation prevents access to healthcare, economic development, and education. Owning a bicycle, however, empowers people to develop community assets and provides access to independence and livelihood.
The difficulties I was facing before I was given a bicycle is distance.
I was supplying very little milk because of lack of good transport, reliable transport.
I was from grade 1 to grade 7. I was just walking by foot from home to school. It was about 7.5 kilometers.
My name is Priska Marilanda. I am a caregiver. I'm a widow. My husband passed away in 1997. Then when the husband passed away, left me with 5 children, 2 girls and 3 boys.
In many parts of Africa, caregivers are considered sacred. They are respected. Other people in their community, they give them things and supply them with the things that they need so they can continue to be caregivers as well. Once again, the challenges of womanhood are systemically a real issue on our planet as well. Every place that I went that was developing and evolving, people respected women. Every place that I went where things were devolving into chaos, people didn't respect women. Women, in my opinion, based on my experience, are the key to us being able to move forward as a species and how we're going to be able to survive and we're going to be able to reduce conflict and problems. Needless to say, by this point, I'm out of my mind. I'm crazy. Suddenly, I have all of these new ideas, thoughts, feelings, or whatever. I come back to Atlanta, and I lose all my friends. People aren't interested in talking to me anymore. They're not interested in hanging out with me. You know, I'm walking up to people, giving them a hug, saying Jumbo or Hakuna Mata, and they're like, you're nuts. So I had to reorient myself as well and find new ways of expressing myself. And so this was it. Next.
It's another edition of
This is Tomorrow Pictures.
Hi, my name is Frederick Taylor, and
Life has become better. Yes.
this is Tomorrow Pictures, where the story is in the telling.
So I had to start off from the top.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't change that station while we pause for a brief commercial break.
This is Tomorrow Pictures.
People always ask me, what is next? What's the next thing you're going to be able to do? What's the next exciting world that's out there for Tomorrow Pictures? And surprisingly enough, it's actually this.
Because science clearly points to every fact that it is.
But if you look at the data, you'll see that vaccines work.
And you don't fight the science guy.
And this is the world of content-based programming that everybody talks about. And one of the things you really want to remember is, like, this is the future of where you're going to find your content, and this is the future of where you're going to entertain yourself.
Global warming, that's something we got to talk about.
I'm Frederick Taylor, and this is the future of what you'll be watching.
What else are you predicting, Fred? What else is coming?
For Tomorrowpictures.TV. 110%, I want to be a curator in that space that is creating content that is even better than what's already there.
Then the world would be such a better place.
The world has seen an inventor's dream.
And when I'm online, I watch Tomorrowpictures.TV. It's great. You got to do it.
Tomorrow Pictures.
quality production.
The story is in the telling.
That's what's going to happen, and that's where we're going to be. I just evolved. So all of that, like, cool American urban stuff, hip-hop stuff, and then all of these other things that I got inside of me by going global, they all started to fuse together. So I found myself. I became electric. And that's the person that I've evolved into today. I'm going to show you another VA hospital video. This one is just my style. But it has to do with veterans, once again. But my sort of straight, no chaser approach was exactly what the VA or the veterans wanted. This video got me in trouble with the VA because it was so good.
This way we can see when it's coming at us from all angles.
You know, I've been where you are, feeling hopeless when I got back. Like I didn't fit in anymore. Thinking suicide might be the answer.
Order up.
What helps me the most is when I want to give up, I try to focus on getting to the next minute, then the next hour, and the next day, whatever I can manage. And I found someone to talk to, someone who listens.
Here we go, sweetie.
Thank you.
Can I get you anything else?
No, I think we're all set.
Okay. It might not seem like it now, but there are people out there like me who want to listen and support you for the long haul.
You are not alone.
Listen, a lot of us had trouble when we got back, adjusting to family life and our jobs, transitioning from the battlefield to everyday life. And we'd have some bad days, but with help, we have more hope than we've ever had before, and we're gonna make it through.
I got fired. VA let me go. Said it was too real. All the veterans loved it. Loved it. The people that are the higher ups, the suits at the VA, too real. Made him uncomfortable. It's too much. Small things like, oh, when he balls up his fist, can you take that shot out? No, because we're trying to give someone a real idea of what is going on in these dynamics. You know, and they said, well, that sort of gives this indication that there possibly could have been physical abuse in the family. Exactly. That really angered me and frustrated me because this was, at the time, some of my best work. Once again, every single shot that you see, every single setup, every single character, every single person is me. It's my interpretation of someone else's pain. And we do have the ability to interpret each other, but we have to listen, we have to understand. They gave me stacks and stacks of information about what these individuals go through, and I was able to synthesize it down into making a video. Unfortunately, some of the people at the VA got cold feet. So I had to move on and do other things. And I started to point my gaze more and more with women's issues because they were important, and I realized that while I was traveling abroad. Next video.
A model, she was open for discussion. Didn't catch her name, but it was something in Russian. Had the legs, had the eyes, had the cool. I took a midnight swim in her gene pool. Red, nothing's better than red. Red, nothing's better than red. I love you. Oh, Mr. Vodka, I think I love you. So stunning you are this evening.
The only guy in that was me with the camera. That was a thing that they would do together as a ritual. The female boxing instructor would stand in the middle. The girls would go around in a circle. The instructor would point to someone. They had to jump in and, as the kids say, throw hands. I thought it was remarkable what it did for the esteem of these incredible, incredible women as well. The song that you hear is an original song. I work with a lot of original artists and a lot of original musicians, whether they are from the urban realm all the way to roots music and everything. That was my friend, Tommy McRae. Tommy McRae passed away during the pandemic from complications from a J&J shot. Went in for a J&J shot on Wednesday, and he died of a blood clot that Sunday. And that was my best friend. So I work with my best friends as well. We are at 2 minutes. Dr. Zach Knight. Would you like, I can... Continue. Okay, we're continuing. It's gonna get crazier. I'm not lying. Okay, so womanhood, the concept of womanhood. It's more than just what's downstairs. It's mostly what's upstairs. And this is non-binary, and this is able to communicate across gender lines as well. So now I'm going to show you something that it's a little challenging, but I'm going to show it to you anyway at request of my office, who insisted that I stand my ground. Here we go.
Sparkle, my name is Sparkle.
A lot of people are still confused with gender identity versus sexuality. One way that I usually clear that up for people is to say that gender identity is who you go to bed as. You go to bed as a woman or as a man or as someone in between. And sexuality is who you go to bed with, who you are attracted to.
I wanted to be a girl, so I decided to be transgender and I decided to change.
A trans mission is a mission that I am on as the mother of a transgender daughter. My mission is to educate the world on really what true acceptance is and allowing people to live their true, authentic lives.
Coming to the realization that gender is nebulous and kind of unimportant. If you take that away, then people are just people.
You do anything fun today?
No, but today we got to actually run.
One of the most important things in life is to learn how to accept people, just to help them and be their friend.
Before I met Tate, I didn't know anybody that was transgender. I didn't exactly know what it meant. Now I know, and I still hang out with her.
There's just so much judgment and condemnation. It's easy to judge when you've never walked in their shoes.
I got this note one time that said, "You're a boy, not a girl, get that through your head," and I was really mad.
The underlying ignorance is the hardest thing to deal with. I do explain sometimes that it's transgender, and I'm happy to inform people of what that means.
You want society to change right away. You know, you want people to just accept her the way she is. But the reality is that's not the world we live in.
When my mom drops me off at school, she always says, "Make somebody's heart feel good today." I make people happy, as in I tell them that their shirt is nice and they have good hits, kicks, and hits.
We knew her as a young preschool girl who liked mainly to play with the girls and liked mainly to play with girl things or dress like a girl.
There was this kid who said people shouldn't like Tate because then maybe we're, gay. And I was like, what? No.
So I was telling Tate, just kind of in my own little world, and the doctor called and said you were a boy, and I was so happy. I so wanted a boy. And she looked up at me and she said, "I wanted to be a girl one, Mama." And whew, that was a tough moment.
If somebody else makes their own decisions that's transgender, shouldn't be called names for doing that or get bullied. They should be appreciated.
The suicide rate for trans youth is 41% by age 18. It's a situation where I check on my kid every night, but not to see if she's cozy and tucked in. I check on her to see if she's alive. Sorry. It's okay.
It's a wonderful day, the best yet.
Tate got to change his name today. I thought her name today. I thought that was pretty cool.
Now, why do you think that's pretty cool?
Because she gets to do what she wants to do, and she can't have the government say, no, you're not allowed to do this. You have to be that way.
I just went up and then he said approved. No one objected.
Everyone has kind of come together and realized that this is who she is and just supported her unconditionally. And there hasn't really been that many roadblocks, so it's really, that's the most shocking thing, is that everyone around us really has been so supportive and so loving towards her.
To me, it wasn't really necessary to transition into understanding that the male and the female, it just blended to me.
I just hope that over time, as people learn more and that we just kind of become a more accepting place, because hopefully it doesn't go backwards in time,
I'm transgender, and if they don't know what that means, I would say Google it.
Honey, smile for me, looks all for free. This is the last one.
That's Tate. Tate's a good kid. I've been following Tate since she was 9 years old. Tate is now 17. Tate's going to be able at 18 to make the decisions that she wants to make. Her choice is to have reassignment surgery. It's an extraordinary set of circumstances for all of us in life. We have to make decisions, and we have to make decisions from here. We're born into a world where everybody's putting us in a box or a lane and saying, this is what you should do, this is how you should be, walk, talk, act, think, or whatever, and they don't give us the opportunity to think about it on our own until we get out of the house, until we get away from our parents, and we get away from our communities that are around us to be able to figure out who we really are. Sometimes there are people that know. I've spent a lot of time around this kid. This kid knows. This is who this kid is. Just the energy that comes off of her feels feminine. It doesn't feel like male energy. And I learned a lot about that as well. So her and I were hanging out one day, and we were just talking about growing up. And I said, when I was in school, I got bused to another school, and I was the only person of color in my class, and I was made fun of, and people didn't make me feel welcome at times. And she turned to me, and she looked at me, and she laughed. She's like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, you're right. It was the most ridiculous thing, but it happened. And that's where we were then. And I said, that's why we're here now making this film with you, because we want someday for this to be absolutely and positively ridiculous. Deeds are the only currency. I'm not going to have time to show everything. Anybody that would be interested in seeing some of these other videos, I'm happy to share with them. I'll give you links, all kinds of stuff. You can follow me on social media. I wanted to close with something that's extraordinarily important to me and powerful to me. I had a friend. His name was Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob was someone that has been in my life my entire adult life. He's someone that has championed me, helped me, pushed me through. He was a mentor. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 2 years ago. And he made the decision, his choice, to end his life. And he flew to Switzerland, and he had an assisted suicide. The month before he did it, we spent unbelievable amounts of time together, because I was going to lose my friend. I was going to lose my mentor. So I asked him, can I interview you? And he said yes. And I'm going to show you that right now.
My favorite story? Well, my favorite story, I think, is my life. And at the end of it, couldn't ask for better. And I hope to leave a lot of stories. At my funeral, I want to open up with Another One Bites the Dust. And go from there.
Anything in closing?
No, thank you, Ms. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we just talked about story. And here it is in front of us. Who lives, who dies. Who tells their story. Poked my eye. That'd be a good way to go. I do too. I think, Pete, I think having fun, I think there's a place for it, and there's nothing better than where you can be safe, say what you think, laugh at what you want to laugh at, and have good friends. And I think the end of the day for me in my life was the people in my life who I cared for and who cared for me. And that I think there's nothing better. Fade to black.
Dr. Bob ended his life on June 16th of this year under his own power, on his terms. It was the most courageous thing I had ever witnessed and been around in my life. I hope that I and all of us have the ability to face death the same way I am assuming all of you here today are facing your lives, because that's why you're here. My assumption is that you want to ascend, you want to go up. I don't believe in leveling up. I believe in just continuing to climb. Deeds are the only currency. When I shot this, I didn't realize this, but he was giving something back to me and the people in my office, and what I'm giving to you here today. Seriously, love life, have fun, do the things that matter, and then have some courage and some backbone in the face of adversity as well. And let go of all of these things that are holding us down, gender and race and religion and nationalistic belief systems. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to be in the same position as Dr. Bob as well. We are going to be faced with the gravity of the life that we have led. And I hope that you all do something about that, because you all have the power to do it. If deeds are the only currency, if you focus and you put yourself in that position, all of the other things will fall into place. Thank you very much. This has been wonderful and an honor. And I look forward to you all becoming successful, moving forward in life with whatever you do. Dr. Bob's catchphrase at the end was "Give peace a chance." That is why I'm wearing this shirt, and it has a peace sign. Please give peace a chance. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Definitely a beautiful piece. Got us to think, showed us the life through lenses and how you could capture emotion and not be afraid to capture that emotion. As Thunder is really hitting strong, it was kind of shocking there. Look at that. Let's go. You got a salute from Thunder as well.
Tomorrow Pictures. The story is in the telling.